Should Microsoft or Xbox be concerned about the Modern Warfare 3 scores and reviews? Many people are even saying now that maybe the game was reviewed too early. I was one of the more scathing and more critical people about the game. Even before it came out, I tried to warn people and said, listen, this is DLC that's been repackaged. I was really worried about the open combat missions, and they were essentially exactly what I expected. Very disappointing, basically Spec Ops and DMZ. But now I've got an article here I kind of wanted to react to from Xfire asking the question, should Microsoft be worried about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 review scores? Now, I want to be clear, Modern Warfare 3 has nothing to do with Xbox in the way of if you want to place blame or if you think the game is not good. Now, there are people defending the game because they feel like they have to defend Xbox. I don't think when you're critical of Modern Warfare 3, you're being critical of Xbox. I believe they're very separate, and this was Activision sort of trying to get one last big release before maybe even the acquisition was complete. I place the blame on them. It's clear this was originally planned to be DLC, especially considering all of the maps aren't even Modern Warfare 3 maps. They're Modern Warfare 2 maps. So let's take a look at this article here. And it says, interestingly, the multiplayer and zombie modes of Modern Warfare 3 are massively fun, despite the criticism levied on the campaign mode. Now, I'm seeing people create this distinction. And I do think people are enjoying the multiplayer, you know, for the movement and things that they're liking. I am seeing a resurgence of the discussion and the frustration with skill-based matchmaking. I think that's always to be expected with Call of Duty. I have some shorts and some content, even on this Reacts channel, about skill-based matchmaking that always gets a resurgence anytime there's a new Call of Duty out. People typically enjoy my take and my perspective on that. I'm very much against skill-based matchmaking from a variety of reasons. That's not the discussion of this video, but I do think it does weigh on people's perception and experience of multiplayer. Now, my experience with zombies was it basically felt just like DMZ with zombies on the map, and people are enjoying it, but I didn't think it was all that innovative. Even if people are enjoying it, I don't think big fans of zombies are all that thrilled with it. So let's continue reading and see what they think. Call of Duty has long stood as a titan among game franchises, a series that redefined the first-person shooter genre. Yet that has not stopped the latest installment, Modern Warfare 3, from facing an unprecedented backlash, which, even worse, looks to be entirely well-earned. I agree with that entirely. When Modern Warfare 3 landed on shelves on November the 10th, fans were buzzing, but not for the reasons you'd hope for. The Sledgehammer Games title was reportedly developed in a remarkably short span of 16 months and was initially envisioned as an expansion of its predecessor. However, it later morphed into a full-price title, a decision that has not aged well. We need to consider not only that it was originally planned to be an expansion, but the fact that they built this in such a small amount of time. It makes sense as to why the campaign just doesn't feel like a campaign. It's very strange. Even the more traditional missions, you know, out of the 14 or 15 missions, there were only like 2 or 3 that I would say reached the scope or reached the size of what you would expect from like a classic Modern Warfare or Call of Duty mission. So open combat just made it worse. But even some of the more traditional missions just felt incredibly short. You know, one mission, you stand up on a plane, walk forward, go through a cutscene, go back, and then that's the end of it. That's considered one of the 14 or 15 missions. Playing on the other side of the infamous, you know, airport mission was cool, but was just very linear. It wasn't a lot going on. I think they were going for maybe like wow factor or nostalgic factor there. So, continuing reading here, it says, as soon as review scores began pouring in, it was clear to everyone that Modern Warfare 3 didn't just fall short of its predecessor's glory, it plummeted to lowest echelons of the series' storied history. With a Metascore of 53 based on 40 critic reviews, the game has lagged significantly behind even the least celebrated entries in the franchise. The interesting thing is the Metacritic score has actually dropped. I'm sorry, not dropped. It has risen slightly from the 53 to a 56. So now 65 people have weighed in. And the users are obviously very unhappy. Now, the user scores are bad everywhere. Now, I had somebody debate this with me on Twitter, and they were like, okay, well, the game has, you know, Call of Duty has bad user scores every year. Like, if you go to the Xbox store and you go to, like, you know, review scores from the users, they typically don't do all that well. But Modern Warfare as a reboot and Modern Warfare 2 did very well from the critics, and they were sort of trying to claim that this was like a bias against Xbox. I see no evidence for that. I see the criticisms of Modern Warfare 3 being valid. Shortness of the campaign, the open combat missions, charging $70, all of the maps are Modern Warfare 2 maps. Like, you're not even getting new maps, and it's called Modern Warfare 3. I don't know why nobody's catching that like you didn't even get Modern Warfare 3 maps. You got Modern Warfare 2 maps, which is even more indication this was planned as DLC for Modern Warfare 2, which is an insult that, you know, Activision's out here trying to tell people that wasn't the plan when it clearly was. Continuing on here, this stark contrast becomes even more evident when juxtaposed with the series' high points, especially when they share names such as Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, which boasted scores in the 90s. One of the most glaring issues with Modern Warfare 3 is the campaign's unexpectedly short duration. Traditionally, Call of Duty games have offered campaigns lasting between 5 and 8 hours, a sweet spot that has consistently delivered a satisfying narrative experience without overstaying its welcome. Modern Warfare 3, however, deviated from this formula, offering a campaign that can be completed in less than 5 hours. This drastic reduction in playtime has not gone unnoticed, with a huge number of COD fans voicing their discontent, particularly given the game's full price tag. And I mean, this is a really generous framing in less than 5 hours. It's like 2.5 to 3. Especially if you're moving pretty quickly. Not to mention, half of the missions are open combat missions, which are not campaign missions. They put you into an open environment and have very generic objectives for you to do. This is what I told everybody would happen. I said, I know exactly what these open combat missions are. I can tell by the way they're talking about it. They're just going to utilize Spec Ops and DMZ mechanics and drop you into an open space with super generic objectives. It's like I was working at the company. Like, I nailed that one on a bullseye. And I'm not saying that to give myself credit here. I'm saying this was obvious from moment one. This was not going to be a full game launch. And that's why these reviews are so low. These reviews are not low because of any sort of media bias. The structure and execution of the campaign have also come under scrutiny. Modern Warfare 3 features 15 missions, fewer than its predecessor 17, and it takes players back to familiar locations like Verdansk. The missions, which were intended to offer players a sense of freedom, instead come across as isolated experiences, lacking the cohesion that has been a hallmark of the series. Right, because you're reusing existing areas, which is obviously an issue. But not only that, the way they play is terrible. So basically, the 3 that I played, it's basically like when you're in the DMZ and you fire off a couple of shots and any AI in the area know where you are. Well, this is a little bit different because every AI in the area knows your precise location the minute one of them sees you or you draw attention to yourself. So you basically just hunker down and wait for it to stop, and you just kill as many people as you can, and then you get back to trying to do your objective. And the AI that's like telling you what to do is constantly scolding you. And it doesn't allow for the freedom that they talked about. You're basically trying to search rooms and do stuff. And I constantly had the one guy telling me, oh, get to the thing, do the thing. They're not looking for you anymore. Get to the thing, do the thing. And it just was really, it just felt slapped together. It did not feel like a game that has 11 studios of talent thrown at it. And I said I thought Zombies showed the most promise because Treyarch helped as well as High Moon Studios. It wasn't just Sledgehammer, but even then, I just look at Zombies and don't think it has the staying power or the appeal that maybe they were hoping for. They say here, this declining quality and reception is not just a blip on the radar of the Call of Duty series, it's a glaring red flag signaling a potential crisis for the franchise. The game's performance is so dismal that it ranks as 195th best reviewed PS5 game of the year out of a possible 199. It's rubbing shoulders with less than stellar titles like Redfall and Daedalic Entertainment's Gollum. And we did Gollum as a member incentive. I had to play Gollum, and if you're a member on my main channel, you can watch that. If I complained, I had to gift members. It's a pretty bad game. Microsoft, which recently completed the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, now faces the daunting task of revitalizing a franchise that has been a cornerstone of the gaming scene for years. The need for a strategic overhaul is evident, as the annual release schedule and the relentless crunch culture have evidently taken a toll on the quality of games. Well, another prediction that I got right is that the next Call of Duty is going to be Black Ops. I said they did this so that they can move on to the next reboot. So they're going to reboot Black Ops 1 in 2024. Well, that's all been but confirmed at this point, that that's where they're headed next. The likelihood will be that the pattern is the first game is going to be the best. So the Black Ops reboot's probably going to be really good. The Modern Warfare 2019 reboot was great. Modern Warfare 2 was good. It was lower in quality. There were some bugs. There were some issues, but the campaign was still quite good. And then Modern Warfare 3 was a terrible, terrible joke. They really mistreated a lot of the characters and a lot of the story arcs. And I would imagine we're in for the same thing. Black Ops 1 will be the best, and then Black Ops 2 will be good, and then Black Ops 3 is going to be a disaster if they follow this development cycle. They're going to kick it to a smaller team or smaller studio. They're not going to have as much time. You know, maybe they can learn from this, and instead of trying to repackage DLC, they can actually have a substantive game for the third. And that'd be my hope, is that they learn from this. And the final part of the article here says, Call of Duty is a series that's weathered many storms, and again, Modern Warfare 3 represents more than just a misstep. It's a critical wound that needs attention. If there's one certainty, it's that the status quo cannot continue. A break from the annual release cycle and a renewed focus on the quality over quantity must be initiated if Call of Duty hopes to reclaim its former glory. Here's the thing. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I do think this is something that, going forward, you will look to Xbox to say, hey, what are y'all doing? Are you going to let them do this? Because this was supposed to be the going forward format. They really, really promoted and had a lot of fanfare and confetti and a lot of PR and hyperbole and all this, like, oh man, the open combat missions are going to be so great. I knew they were over-marketing those open combat missions. I knew they were going to be trash because just the way they were talking about them seemed ridiculous. So that can't be the format going forward, or they're just going to face more fledgling scores as well as results. Instead of talking about sales, they're talking about player engagement numbers, and they're trying to combine all of the games under one heading to make it look like Modern Warfare 3 was this big success. And it wasn't. I mean, like Vanguard, it'll still be commercially dominant on the charts just because it's Call of Duty, but this will probably go down as a pretty big misstep. And hopefully that means in the future they can step right. I'd love to know what you think. You can leave a comment below. Check out my main channel where I stream. That's Reforged Gaming. If you like these React videos, hit subscribe and the bell button so I can see you in the next one.